We've got the second harvest to help and some fun to be had and a gathering of Noles and they're on their way, many of them back to Tallahassee right now as I gauge the social media outlets. Lots of folks making their way to the capital city for a little fun this week, and I think it will be too. There's a lot of good players to feast your eyes upon. Went to practice yesterday, most of it anyhow. Tom held down the latter half as I got set for some other brands of football that I'll be monitoring as well. And I gotta say that it kind of went the way that I thought it would. It was kind of intense early. Did it stay that way? Wasn't seemed to ease up in the middle there. They do a lot, way more than I'd like of special team stuff that doesn't seem to be impactful in any way, shape, or form. But other than that,
Yeah, I thought it was intense throughout. I think everybody kind of knew that yesterday was the last of its kind
yeah,
before the spring game. And then Monday is kind of like last day of school practice. It doesn't mean that there's not intensity and they don't correct the mistakes that they might have made in front of the fans at Doak Campbell and Bobby Bowden Field. But everybody kind of knew the drill yesterday.
I thought so.
Heated competition. It was really a lot of fun to watch. You watched a little bit of both sides of the operation. I watched mostly trenches, which felt like going home, buddy. It had been a minute.
It's more fun. I think the trenches are more fun every day. I think you can glean more about what's going to happen on the line of scrimmage. I think you get a sense of the depth and the talent and the upgrades there. Really, all of these practices are more interesting to me when you focus on the trenches because, again, I feel like when you watch the one-on-one battles between receiver and cornerback, they're trying to get the reps in for all the quarterbacks, and I don't know. It's the ebbs and flow of that aren't great always, and that's fine. I will tell you this: I do enjoy watching over and over and over again, all day Dre, as he's known. That kid's been good every day of practice. He had a day where he had a couple drops and it shocked us all. That's how good he's been. Like when you're so good that when you finally do drop a ball or two, we're whoa, what is happening here? And you're just a true freshman. That's a real big deal, man. I just think that coming out of this spring, he's one of the main stories. And Javius Jacobs, to me, has to be one of the big stories of the entirety of spring.
If you were going to write up a fall camp preview right now, based upon what you've seen in the spring, and let's say one of those hot topics is who is going to be the number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it's him.
And you do the headings with the candidates. He's near the top.
Has to be. He's just so consistent, silky smooth, fluid, and consistent. I don't know, man. I don't know how he can't be, right? I mean, you wouldn't have said it at the start of camp just because you don't expect freshmen to come in and do that. And in particular, that freshman, because you signed another one at the same position that was far more high profile. And when the two stood next to each other, you thought one looked like an NFL football player and the other one looks like a freshman in college. The other, Hakeem Williams, looks like a grown-ass man that plays for the Giants, whereas Vendravius looks like a college kid, so you would not have, just by looking at him, thought to yourself, well, that's the kid. That's the one that's going to immediately impact this segment group. But I think of the two, it's not even close. It's really not even close right now. That's not to say the upside's not better for Hakeem maybe down the line. I don't know. Maybe it is. He got better. Hakeem did as camp went on and got him. I don't think he was in shape when he got here. And I'm not blaming him because I don't know what, every high school is different. I don't think he was ready for this. Hakeem looked tired the first week and a half to, 2 weeks.
Like an early enrollee.
Yeah.
You could pair them with a group of receivers from 10 years ago and say that just for the purposes of body type and projection, Hakeem is like Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Rashad Green and Vendravius Jacobs fit nicely together. So to your point, which is more projectable for the draft? It's Hakeem.
Sure.
As we stand here today, there's no doubt about that. But who can help us sooner this fall? It's Vendravius.
Right now, it's Vendravius.
And there is no denying that.
Yeah, it's not been close, guys. Hakeem is well behind Vendravius Jacobs. It hasn't been close. If you were gauging it as a competition, it hasn't been close. Now, that's not really the way they maybe look at it. They look at it at roles that you're going to play, how you can help us, where on the field are you effective. that kind of stuff. But I Hakeem will be good. It's just he's not ready yet, and nobody should be in their first spring camp necessarily. That's why it's a surprise when somebody is, and you give him a lot of credit. You just do. I think he's one of the big stories of camp. The biggest story has been all along, and you're tired of hearing me talk about it, and I understand why. But the entirety of spring, all we do is kind of sit back in awe at the number of uh, and the depth, that talent on the offense and defensive line. They're good. They're just really good up front. And I think that's just a fair assessment. I think it's just applicable. You can look at that group and say this is a lot different than we've seen at any point in Norvell's tenure, certainly. But I think that includes obviously Willie's. So you got to go back a ways. And I think that when you got to go all the way back to 2014 or so to feel and that was just with the starting five in 2014. You didn't feel great after that starting five. You thought, oh, there's a few guys that, if they have to fill in a pinch, you're going to be okay.
Maybe a guy.
Yeah, but it wasn't like you were saying for yourself, I know they've got 10 that can play. I think right now when you get the news yesterday that Dimitri Emmanuel has been given clearance and was practiced. By the way, he practiced yesterday in pads. He was ready to go. He was out there and was participating immediately. This is a guy that started for you at guard last year. I don't know if he'll start this year. They don't need him to. If he does, great, but it's a legit addition to the competition on that offensive line. So now all of a sudden, truthfully, you've got 13 for 5. It's nuts. So, and they really can play it a lot of different ways. When you don't have the requisite size or depth up front, you got to spread everybody out. You got to play the quick game. You got to get the ball out of your hands immediately. You got to really, you're pigeonholed as to what you can do because you just don't have the size and the talent and the depth to push people around. But Florida State's in a position right now where they want to run the ball. I feel like Mike wants to run the ball. We say that over and over and over again. He's able to run the ball. He's able to run the ball with bad offensive lines. We've seen that already. Even when the teams were bad record-wise, they would find a way to spring a big play here and there in the run game. They would engineer the running game in some capacity in order to be able to give themselves a chance to run the football. Now they've got options galore. They've got those tight ends. They've got a gluttony of running backs, of successful and talented and multidimensional running backs. They've got a quarterback that is as fleet of foot as there is in the country. They've got enough at wide receiver that if you want to go 4 or 5 wide, you could. They really can play it a lot of different ways. And so I just think at this point, man, it's hard to envision a way in which this offense isn't one of the best in the country. All of my concerns, virtually all of my concerns, as here we are a couple days away from the spring game, lie on the defensive side of the ball. And it's really more about the further you get away from the line of scrimmage, because I feel great about the defensive line. Your starters are great. On the interior, you've got plenty of talent to rotate. A lot of guys that can give you plus efforts and talent to go with and size. You're not as deep on the off the edges, but you're okay there. You've got a stud and then a few guys that you feel good about. But then from there is where you really will question this team. When we start to think about fall camp, you're going to question linebacker. You should. They should go out and get another one. You're going to question corner, and you're going to question safety. So, listen, that's it. If we're talking about the difference between maybe winning the conference and going to the college football playoff or not, I think that's where you're going to concentrate your efforts.
Yeah, I would think so in terms of the need front. What's interesting is going back to the offensive line and the depth on it. They've got for fall camp, if there's development in the offseason, I think you could stretch it to 12 or 13 that could compete for the 2 deep. But I think when you're talking about the frontline group, I have learned by watching spring camp, that there might be 8 or 9 candidates for 5 positions, which is wonderful. Don't get
Yeah,
this is not a complaint. But when you were talking to Alex Atkins and we were talking in the offseason about how many guys could potentially be starters and win the jobs, he said 12 wasn't out of the question.
Yeah, he did.
I think it's probably 8 or 9 at this point, and you don't feel horrible about some of those other guys coming in a pinch if you have a disastrous situation in the course of a game. It's not lights out like it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, and you've got no chance at that particular position. I just think we have seen a little bit of a separation where the candidates, again, if you're in the offseason and doing a fall camp preview and saying who could win the job, I think your favorites would cut off at about 8 or 9 players. And that's still worlds better than it used to be because those are all legitimate starting caliber options for Florida State on the offensive line. Not fallbacks, not uh-ohs, legitimate good players.
Yeah, and when you talk about having 12 that you could play to make out your 2 deep, that is without question accurate. You know,
Yeah.
You're always going to prefer, I think that we're going to prefer certain guys that have played a lot and have given us visual evidence in games that they can play, and you have some of those guys that have returned. So you say, well, they're likely going to play. But you're not devastated at the thought. Like, so a good example, Robert Scott hasn't played this spring. I don't know. I guess we're going to assume that he'll come back from injury and be in great health and or minor surgery, whatever it was, and he'll be back just fine, ready to go. And he would project as your starter probably at left tackle. But if he doesn't, if it's Bless, Harris, and Byers that are your tackles,
yeah,
you're real worried about that? I'm sure as hell not. I think both could be better or as good.
Better, I think, is we'll see. If it's Robert Scott at 100%, I think that might be a bit of a stretch. Plus, I think Byers is a player who could flex inside, play guard for you, and make the group of 5 better. If, say, it's Robert Scott and Bless.
What if it's tackles. Julian Armella? 6'6", 330 long arms, looks better than he did a year ago already.
He does. I don't know what to make of where he slots just yet. And I don't know if he makes that cut at 8 or 9. I'm not sure that he does yet. And that's okay. That's okay.
I think he does. I think in the fall, you'll think he does.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I doubt it, buddy. No, I'm not speaking like that. It's just that when you're talking about the tackle conversation, I think you've got 3 that are rock steady, rock solid. And that is Robert Scott, Bless Harris, and then whatever they do with Byers. I think wherever he wants to, where they want to line him up, he'll be good. And they like him in different places, and that's fine. But Armella's still a little bit more work. And I got to tell you, I'm not trying to put too much pressure on the young man, but Lucas Simmons is learning fast. It's just about hitting the gym for him, I think, at this point.
Up top, he's so huge down low. His base is great. It's what you want. He's just got to fill out the top. He's so young, He's a true freshman. And so, yeah, I got you. And he's 6'8". It's hard, too. You got to fill out that frame at 6'8". It's tough. But he's over 300 pounds, and he's technically sound. I think in other years, Florida State's offensive line was in a place where they would start him, where they would have to start him. He's come in and looked that good. He's not ready. You don't want to start him, but we were starting guys we didn't want to start.
Yeah.
But we had to, and it was based on footwork and talent, not readiness. And so they did that, and Lucas fits that mold. So your future at tackle is bright.
But back up to the top of the depth chart, potentially contenders, Bless Harris has had a really good spring.
Yes, he has. He looks good. I think
really good spring.
I think I'd pencil him as a starter. He was a starter last year, and then it happened. He got hurt. So they're good, man. They're good up front. They've got a lot of guys you feel very, very good about. Some guys you can tell to have a good day. I mean, I think we've also been able to find separation there. By the way, we haven't mentioned anything. We just got done talking about Dimitri Emanuel being back, but they have these other guys in the interior that they're going to move around. Maybe someone will emerge as a potential either replacement for Maurice Smith at center or a solid backup. They're hoping it's Casey Roddick. I think he continues to struggle to snap the football, but you've got a Dimitri Emanuel, Casey Roddick. We didn't talk about Kenyatta Charlton looks better now than he did before. You got some guys that you feel good about.
That situation's a mess in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Now that
Bryson
Dimitri's
Estes
back.
and you got all these guys.
Well, I think
DeAndre Jones.
the contenders for those positions are obviously Dimitri. He's back. I'll leave center alone. I'll leave it alone for just talking about the guards.
I didn't even mention Darius Washington.
Darius, and this is in no particular order, so don't try and discern who's getting, reps because they're cross-training anyway.
Yeah,
there's all
do.
kinds of hodgepodge groups that are out there.
Correct.
But in no particular order, Keandre and Dimitri and Casey Roddick and Byers and Darius Washington, Estes. I mean, there's just so many damn bodies out there. And I suppose you could move Robert in if you wanted to, or, Byers.
They talked about it before.
I think Byers is the better crossover player right now to be slotted inside. But with Dimitri coming back, I don't know what that does with Byers. Does that mean that you want to slide him to the left guard position? Because I don't think you're going to move Dimitri Emmanuel to left guard. He was really good at right last year. I think you want to keep him there. A lot of other guys can cross-train. But where's Byers best suited from there? Is it right tackle? Is it left tackle? Is it left guard?
Anybody that is that big who can move like that, and the way they like to pull guys, I see your argument for guard, and I think he's got to play a lot. He's a really good-looking prospect. I mean, you look at that kid and you go, my goodness gracious.
And you didn't bring in Casey Roddick to sit, not that you guaranteed him playing time, but you don't bring a kid like that in unless you really think he's going to be a part of the rotation. And he could be a guard or a center. Keandre Jones has a little bit more eligibility, but, I mean, it's not like he hasn't been placed in important situations in camp. That's a mess in a lot of good ways.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. That's really it's a repeated conversation. But I get that as we get closer to the spring game, more people get excited about the spring game and people are coming into town. And so we take more than a cursory glance at a familiar subject. And if you're a regular, you're going, you said this all spring. Well, because it's been the context that I've wanted to lay out there for you about what we see on a regular basis.
But it's important to reestablish that because we could be sitting here now after a dozen practices and say, well, we thought we had 12. There's only like 4 good dudes, and they're really going to they might need to dip back into the portal. Like that could have been the update, and that would have been bad to share. But that's not. What we thought before the preseason started, before the camp started, is bearing out to be true. You got a lot of good options, more good options than you need on the field at the same time. So it's an assumption we made that you're going to have close to 10 guys that are game ready starter level. Now we know they are. And that's really, really good.
There's a familiar refrain and question, and it's repeated in the chat a lot, and we see it on our message boards on Warchant, and I'll get the occasional email or tweet thrown at me this way. So I'll answer it this way for the people who have asked. Yeah, in short yardage situations, we had to be cute a lot of times last year. We weren't a great red zone team in terms of toughness inside the 20 and moving the pile 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. That made things difficult at times. Is that going to be better is really the direct question that we get. And I think the answer is a resounding yes. Now, you see in modern football, and you watch the NFL, it is really hard with the big bodies on the defensive line bunched up inside the way they are now. They've all figured out how to stymie that. It's almost impossible to get lower than them. And it's played differently than when I was a kid. And so you don't just see like as they used to say, well, those hog mollies line up and just push people off the ball. And it's not really that way as often anymore. You can still be a big boy football team and run the football, but a lot of times it's on neutral downs. It's in the middle of the field. It's an identity of who you are. You'll wear people down. But if it's a one-off in the red zone in short yardage, even teams that have big, strong offensive lines can oftentimes struggle to get that. Now, the Eagles were a little different because Jalen Hurts is, got the legs of a 400-pound lineman. It's ridiculous, right? And they had figured out ways to do that with the quarterback. If you have a guy like that, you can. And they even formationally did some things that were different. It was rugby. It was quite literally rugby. And that's smart. That's just good coaching. You figured it out. I don't know. We're not exactly, I don't think, going to line up and do that. But I do think that because you can pick and choose when you want to put certain guys, they don't even have to be starters on that interior. You have certain body types with this group that Roddick being one of them, even if you put him at guard.
Keandre Jones.
Like, what are you going to do with that? He's going to get a half an inch. He's going to get 6 inches. The man is a giant, giant individual.
Well, we can't give away what's happening in practice, so I almost feel like I have to say this backwards. I don't think I've seen this at all in spring, but Mike Norvell has done it before on a game day, so it would be nothing new. Overloading and unbalancing the offensive line.
Yes.
Bringing in a 6th and a 7th guy in certain situations.
With giants, like a 6th and 7th guy, and then, having a legit, or maybe a tight end in the backfield.
Here's where I would bring Julian Armella off the sideline if he's not a starter, and he would be that guy because he can actually get out and go and block in the perimeter. He's so athletic.
Yeah.
But let's just say that you wanted to go unbalanced, and you could even overload the backfield with another lineman. You could have Julian Armella in that backfield as a lead blocker.
Bell or Trey Benson obviously is a big back.
Right, and then you could have Keandre Jones be your 6th on the line. I mean, you could get that squirrely because you do have that many options.
And there'd be days I'd do it. I would bully some people and do just that. I mean, there are some teams that can maybe match that personnel a little bit. Not many, but there are some, and so you'd have to reconsider in certain cases. But LSU might be able to match that.
And you think in past instances, this is going back to Jimbo's days where they would bring one of the better defensive tackles out there to block, and he would be somebody in a goal line set that could set the tone. And then in Coach Norvell's case, he's brought in DJ Lundy to be a lead blocker. We've seen that. He was batting 1,000 in terms of touches and touchdowns until the bowl game when he got stopped short. But, I mean, you have that as well at your disposal. If you wanted Darrell Jackson to be out there in some kind of set.
I took a picture of him yesterday as an aside.
I almost feel like I'm at liberty to say these things because I haven't seen them in spring. But
you could. You could
spitballing,
do it. Yeah. I took a picture of Darrell Jackson yesterday. Just something about the angle and the lighting hit me, and I took this picture because I wanted to commemorate the moment that once again I looked at him in a certain light and thought people should never be that big. Nobody should be that. That dude is gigantic. And I don't mean it like fat ass. I mean, that is a muscular with extra weight and height and size and hands and everything about him. You just like, that guy's gigantic. And if you have that kid deciding that, okay, look, I've transferred twice. This is my getting time. I want to go get paid. And I'm built like this. We ought to see that kid dominate. He ought to terrorize the ACC in a way he certainly didn't at Miami. We may be getting that guy at exactly the right time. It's my go get paid year. I'm motivated. I'm where I want to be. I'm happy finally. I'm focused. I'm surrounded by goodness. He ought to it reminds me of Timmy Jernigan just throwing people around. That kind of dominance is possible.
My sincere hope on the offensive side when you bring that kind of presence out there, if and when it happens, is that we decide to use that to our advantage, not try to draw up plays in the sand, and we just go straight ahead.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
I would just like that to be the case.
Yeah, we got a lot to answer here, a lot of things to get into. I will do it in a second. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Thanks for being here. Stay with.
Injured? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks. So why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSU Home Loans,
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Parker Services, conferences to call away. 222-7722. Heating and cooling is the job we do. Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Invest in a Peak Performance membership and you'll buy peace of mind in knowing that you're extending the life of your system and probably saving money on your power bill too. The program includes comprehensive tune-ups that keep your system running at its maximum efficiency. And Peak Performance members get many benefits, including priority service. Members jump to the front of the line when their comfort system fails. And a 15% discount on all parts. The Peak Performance membership pays for itself over and over again. Call today and have peace of mind. Florida license number CMC 050334.
Parker Services, conferences to call away. Parker Services, conferences to call away.
Did you know that when you order food delivery through third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad, local restaurants lose up to 30% of their own revenue, and you're actually sending your money to corporate bank accounts in California? Well, now you can truly support our locally owned restaurants by ordering directly from foodiestakeout.com. Choose from delicious options like El Jalisco, Smitty's Tap House, Hangar 38, Jerry's Cafe, and many more. With Foodies Takeout and Delivery, we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Order your next fresh meal today at foodiestakeout.com.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk radio show. Tune in every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where I provide clear answers to all your questions about Medicare.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
And last night, Matthew Cleveland announcing that he has hit the transfer portal. That's good news. That was a 9-23 team. I'll hear a lot of people go, well, those are your top two players that are gone. Well, it's relative, my friends. Cleveland did lead Florida State in scoring and rebounding, 13.8 points per game. 7.4 rebounds per game. Did miss some time with back spasms. It's a strange deal there with all that's happened. Cleveland's season was a disappointment. We thought he was going to be a slasher that could get into the paint and make plays, and that he had developed his shot a lot more, and turned out he wasn't quick enough, didn't shoot consistently well from 3-point range. Was okay in the mid-range, just didn't emerge, so he's on his way. The NIL stuff and the transfer portal stuff that we continue to try to watch and monitor to see if kids are coming. It's not panning out so far for Florida State. You're watching a lot of programs with more NIL money, I think, for basketball. That shouldn't shock you. There are programs, there are universities who value basketball more. So if you got a kid who has you in his top 4, but he also has Kansas in his top 4, well, good luck with that. I mean, it's nice that your name's on there as a mention, but you're not getting that kid, not if Kansas wants him. And that goes for a lot of the teams in this league as well, whether that's Duke or North Carolina, who won't stand pat after a bad season, and they'll pay above and beyond because they care about basketball. I'd like to believe we do too, but not right now. We're in the midst of a renaissance for football that is sorely needed for the budget of this university and athletic department. And, it's kind of like if you got something great, sustain it. We'll be back around to help you when the time comes. If you don't, God help you. It ain't going to get any better because we're not sinking money into it. And so I don't see this getting better, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope somebody comes along that saves the day. It only takes one in the modern era of NIL. If you get a guy that is fabulously wealthy and he just decides, I don't like to see my alma mater or even just a team I really, really care for because for whatever reason, I don't know, and I'd like to see this basketball program do well, and I'm flush with cash. I'll give them $20 million to fill out a roster. Well, then maybe you get lucky, but that's not realistic, and it's certainly not realistic for Florida State basketball right now. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of the guys that you were hoping to get, the guys that were on the radar. We already saw one choose East Carolina over Florida State. East Carolina. That's not it doesn't portend of good things to come.
I got to tell you, buddy, that my brain does this exercise when I think about Florida State basketball or Florida State baseball right now. And it pictures a kettlebell at about 75 pounds weight being at the bottom of a pool and what it would feel like to try to pick that up
and have to swim back to the top.
Swim to the top from about, 10 feet deep in the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very hard to pick up those topics and swim to the air above the water. But with football, I got a pool floaty. It's a really comfy pool floaty. I might even be able to lounge on it as I'm sitting and the weather gets better. And so my brain flocks to the floaty, and it just stares through the water down at the bottom at the lead weight and says, maybe one day I'll have the strength to pick up that weight, but not right now. And maybe that's the way a lot of people are feeling in terms of the interested parties.
Yeah, it's something to behold, though, man. It's such a different landscape from just 3 years ago for Florida State in basketball, and there are a lot of things that went wrong, and some of those things are out of the head coach's hands, but some of them are laid at his feet, and it just stinks. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time with it, but when you get news that another player has entered the portal, especially one that's high profile like Matthew Cleveland, then you have to discuss it on a sports show like ours. So I do, but I feel you. I'm not sitting here dedicating the next 20 to it, but I do think we have to mention it, just like we have to mention Florida State's baseball team as a lead in the 8th inning again against the University of Florida for the second time this year. And then, they lose because they can't stop walking people. And, if you're going to give everybody and their brother an extra chance, another at bat, you're going to put yourself in these situations with runners in scoring position. Eventually somebody's going to run into one and you're going to lose. And they did again. And, you got a wonderful start. You got everything you could have wanted. You had a chance to win. It wouldn't have saved the season. The season's a wash right now. Would have helped. Would have been nice. Would have made you feel better. Would have perhaps infused some confidence where there is none. But it doesn't happen, and bad teams lose games like that. Bad teams give up leads late in games when they have opportunities to get big wins, and this is a bad team. And so it's not shocking, but it does hurt. It sucks to watch. I hate it for Link and those kids. And to listen to Link after that game, you could see that look of bereft of hope on his face that, we walked everybody again. You just keep walking people, and I mean, I sound like in my head, when I'm watching that, I sound like our guy, Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. I'm about to say GD that loud every time there's another walk. It's that one. It's the sound clip we use all the time. Give me the map.
We lost. Super.
Yeah,
lost.
but it's the first GD that's
yeah.
when ball 4 crosses off the plate and you go, oh, well, here we go. This is what happens.
Well, you have this issue that goes on with a lot of the staff once you get past a certain number of pitchers where you wish they had a put out pitch. Then you realize that maybe we're going to need some help and this needs to be put in play. But then you think, well, who are they hitting the ball to when it's in play?
At least last night they were picking it up.
They were. Bennett has been on the hill. I think we can work with that. That's going to work.
Hey, by the way, that was the shining.
And that's not the first of its kind for him either.
No. There's something there.
So there is something there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I know, man.
There's a whole lot of what would you say you do here? And that's where we are right now. So it's the mulligan season.
Trey is asking in the chat, just curious, Jeff, who's sponsoring the golf tournament that you guys are doing? And I wanted to know what kind of charity they were. The charity that we're benefiting is the Second Harvest. And yeah, there you go. Check it out. Look at that. There you go. There's a graphic there. You're in the chat, Trey. You see the Battle's End has contributed greatly to our efforts with the Jeff Cameron Show Invitational, Warchant Invitational, the Corner Pocket Bar Grill, always great sponsors and supporters of what we do on this show, Wake Up Warchant, really everything we do at Warchant in general.
It's the forefather with the Warchant golf tournament that was separate from the radio tournament. So they've been long time partners.
And then we have tons of other partners that, you'll see their stuff throughout the course that just people that help out with us and have donated and been part of what we do. And we always appreciate that, whether it's, Gordo's or anybody else. And we just have so many people that help out with us that I, on the day of and the day before, go through everybody and make sure everybody gets their just due. But real quick, Trey, we are benefiting the Second Harvest of the Big Bend, to answer your question about the charity.
And they are aces as it goes. They are a first-class organization that helps, not just, as you can hear in the title of the name, not just Tallahassee, but the entirety of the Big Bend. Food insecurity is a real deal, and they do heavy lifting to help fight that. And tomorrow's show from 1 to 3 p.m. is going to be
dedicated to that effort.
Dedicated charity show.
Yeah.
Every single cent that you contribute in the chat on YouTube TV tomorrow. It's live from 1 to 3, so you got to be here during the show. Spread the word to the other pillars and members of the Warchant community. Every cent goes directly into their account. There is no middleman.
Yeah, there's nothing coming our way or any. It's all going to the Second Harvest. Just know that.
Everything beyond the cost from this tournament on Friday. Every cent beyond the cost to Capital City doing a great job hosting us.
Yeah.
The gifts that we give to the players, the swag bags and things like that. Yeah. Every cent going to the Second Harvest.
Yeah, whatever monies we've raised with registration fees, we put together a gift bag, and then other than that, some of the fun items like that, everything else just goes directly to the Second Harvest. So
everybody's getting some Chrome Soft golf balls on Friday.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited with all the stuff, buddy.
It's the ball that just won the Masters.
It is. So I've heard seen a bunch of other questions in here about the football team and where we should be and what we think and what's going to happen. I want to tell you this. As excited as I am about this roster, there's the other shoe that will drop in due time, and it's not a disaster waiting to happen. But I have kind of sent out not so subtle reminders to you guys that this works both ways. Okay, we have rated better than most. Almost all the transfer portal to our benefit. We have been able to utilize through the Battle's End funds raised and given and supported to the football program and all of that for roster retention and also to lure players of need at certain positions. And that has been much celebrated, right? That's something that is talked about nationally in articles when you look at the teams that have done the most. through the portal to flip their talent levels on the roster. Florida State is a shining example of what could be done in the modern era where this exists. And Mike Norvell and his staff have deserved the kudos they've received. We've talked about they've had a game plan from day one to utilize it. They have a philosophy that they adhere to, that they're consistent with, that resonates with the players they've been able to bring in. It's not by accident Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse and Keir Thomas and all these other guys, we can go on and on and on, but have come here. They have been pitched. They have been spoken to about what was the expectation in addition to whatever monies, all of this stuff, right? And I just think that now you have an abundance of talent at a lot of places. And I've called this spring the spring of hurt feelings. Tabbed at that to start spring. I figure we come out of this spring. It ends Saturday. It's over. Well, yes, there is the follow-up Monday. But in essence, in 3 days, let's lock it in and see what happens. I suspect that there will be a name or two. I don't know this, but I've always speculated. That's what I'm doing. I'm speculating. I'm not telling you something. I'm not saying, hey, wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm just speculating. It's common sense. Context clues. Look around. There are going to be guys that are disgruntled because this spring did not go the way they wanted it to. They didn't move up the depth chart. They don't see a path to more playing time. But they have value, and that value will be seen by other programs that don't have as much depth, that need to fill roles and spots on that roster just the way we did, and they'll come calling because it's alive and well. And I'm going to guess that we've got several backups, 3 or 4 at least, and then I wouldn't be surprised if there's a starter or two that somebody takes a run at. That doesn't mean they're going to get him, but I think we're going to hear a lot of whispers, and that is part and parcel to having success in roster building.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's something that we have to get used to now that we're arriving on the other side of the equation, which is the haves and the have-nots. We've been a have-not for a while. We're getting into have territory.
Yeah.
I don't know how many gates we could go through in the Jim Phillips gated community. If we're at are we at the place with the booth and the security guard 24 hours a day? Probably not
Getting
yet.
really close, though.
But we're
A
probably
nice neighborhood. This is nice.
that initial gate that when you drive in, it's open overnight, but you could just drive past it during the day. I think that's where we are right now.
For you and I, it's like, well, this isn't quite Tierra Verde,
Right.
but we're close.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I lived in a neighborhood called Landsbrook.
Yeah.
In that's where my parents still live. And we lived in a certain neighborhood, but then there was this other one tucked
Further
way
back.
in the back called
Yeah.
President's Landing.
Yeah, they would have looked at you guys in Landsbrook as riffraff.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Even though we were near the golf course, perhaps on it. But, Roy Halladay, the late Roy Halladay, lived in President's Landing in the back.
Yeah.
And people like him.
In the back.
And that's where we want to go as a football program. We're not there yet. But as we're arriving, depth building and depth in general means retention concerns. That's what it has to mean for everybody. Around
Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a problem you want to have. And so, again, you see this a lot. If you draft really well, or you have a situation where your roster is littered with talent and they all become free agents at the same time, somebody's going to be told to have a good day. I can't re-sign you because I really do have to re-sign him. And it's just where we're weak and everything else. Is there a lot that's out there that I could replace you with? There is. All right, man. See what you can get. Baltimore's offering you $5 million per. Go to Baltimore. I'm not matching that because there's a kid coming out in the draft who I think is better than you anyhow, and we're going to take him early in the second round. That's the kind of thing that happens. So your roster, you look at it and go, you're upset. You think you're a quality starting running back right now, but you're not here. I got you. We got 5 of you. If you want to go, you got to go. I get it. No hard feelings. Peace. Good luck to you at Southern Miss or wherever the hell you're going. And I think that's going to be true at several positions. I just do. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3 offensive linemen or 2 or 3 offensive linemen that are like, well, this ain't going to get it done. I don't really see a path to playing here anytime soon, and I need to play. I'm a redshirt sophomore. I'm a junior, whatever. I got to go. And no hard feelings there. But invariably, it doesn't work out the way that you want it to. And I want to point that out. It rarely goes as smooth as you'd like it to. I mean, at least the way I look at this and the way I think it's going to move in the future, there's always going to be a guy that you're like, oh, no, that's not, I was all right with you taking our fifth receiver. That slappy didn't do anything for me anyhow. I mean, maybe he was going to become something, but in the interim, we'll be all right. You don't like it when they take your starting whatever, and I wouldn't be surprised that you're going to have to start fending people off. Alabama has to fend this off all the time. Georgia has to fend this off. Now, all these good teams, there are guys sitting around that you're like, man, that's a really good player. He's a 5-star player. That dude's going to get reps, if not start this year.
Right.
These
are conversations that, Kirby and Saban might have been having and talking about, but it doesn't apply to us. So we really didn't read those quotes.
Right.
But now we're going to, we are living in that world.
Well,
we're in the near
approaching.
future.
Yeah, it's true. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
A silver alert has been issued for a missing 86-year-old man, Thomas Billingsley of Monticello in Jefferson County. Billingsley was last seen Tuesday in the area of the 300 block of West Washington Street in Monticello. He might be traveling in a 2019 gray Jeep Cherokee from Jefferson County with the Florida tag number VH7CQ. He is described as a black man listed at 5'9" in height with brown eyes and gray hair. Anyone with information related to Billingsley's whereabouts is asked to contact the Monticello Police Department at 850-342-0150 or call 911. A superseding indictment has been filed against former Tallahassee Mayor and Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum and former campaign advisor Sharon Letman Hicks. The indictment was filed Tuesday morning and includes 2 fewer charges of wire fraud. Gillum and Letman Hicks are now facing 19 charges instead of 21, and their trial is set to begin on Monday, April 17th. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 and local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy this afternoon with a chance for scattered showers. Daytime highs approaching 79. Easterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows level off around 63. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 78. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 77.
At Epps Decorating Center, we're your locally owned Benjamin Moore retailer. We're your store for quality with brilliant and durable paints in a variety of sheens and thousands of colors. We're your store for service with one-on-one advice for contractors and homeowners. We're your local experts, and we're here to help with all your painting projects. Benjamin Moore, available at Epps Decorating Center with 2 locations in Tallahassee. Find a store near you and visit EppsDecorating.com. That's EppsDecorating.com.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the 3rd one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Trying to get your pool in shape. A lot of you might be doing that right now. There's nothing wrong with asking for a little help from Terry's Pool Service. Spring is here. Your family's expecting to see a backyard paradise. Can't have that with green water and yellow pollen, a collection of who knows what over there in the corner. Call Terry's Pool Service. They'll help save your pool. Check them out at terryspools.net. Call 850-580-7334. You never know when you'll need them. Thanks again, by the way, to Terry's Pool Service.
They'll have the cocktails flowing on hole 3 on Friday.
I'm ready for some cocktails. It's already been a week. We could do some cocktails right now, buddy.
Yeah, I agree. Terry's, Hotel Indigo, Gordo's, Smashes. Those are going to be 3 stations with cocktails in addition to the over 600 free beers that are going to be available on the course on Friday.
It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. We're going to enjoy ourselves, and we're going to do it for a good cause, and the rain is going to stay away.
That's right. Do so responsibly, folks. There's going to be light snacks on the course, the banquets at the corner pocket after, but for those of you that are playing, maybe you want to have a little hearty breakfast before you make it out. Sign-ups 8 a.m., shotgun start 9 a.m.
And at 6 a.m., that giant bowl of spaghetti is calling you.
It's not a bad idea.
That's you. That's you guys. There it is, right? They're just like that. I can't do spaghetti at 6 a.m., but I don't know. Maybe a big muffin.
Do you eat spaghetti much anymore?
No.
It's just kind of a messy meal with the sauce.
I don't have any problems with it. I just never think to eat it. It's never been one of my favorite Italian dishes. I've never been like, oh, spaghetti. You know, if I'm going to do that, like, you know, if you walk out with a really good chicken parm, oh, here we go. You walk out with spaghetti. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's spaghetti. It's what it is.
Pasta with the sauce. It just kind of splashes everywhere.
Yeah, spaghetti's kind of like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but it's not like a turkey grinder. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Discover the tastes of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
Hey everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
At Pinch A Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas, it's prime time hot tub season. And after a long, stressful day, there's nothing like soaking in a hot tub with all that steam. And it has lots of great health benefits, too. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas is your true hot tub headquarters. Save today on the hot tub of your dreams at prices you can afford. Come and shop our 12,000 square foot showroom and find the right model for you. With over 50 hot tubs in stock, you're sure to find the one that's just right. And for a limited time, take advantage of a free spa cover with purchase of your new hot tub. That's around a $400 value, completely free with your purchase. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch A Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come see us at 2473 Greer Road. Pick out your hot tub and enjoy your free cover. You'll be glad you did.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Hawks as a 5-point underdog beat the Heat 116-105. Win paid out plus 200 on the money line of the play-in tournament yesterday. The Hawks will open up the first round of the playoffs at Boston Saturday as a 9-point underdog, total 229.5. Tampa Bay Rays, another 23 favorite at home today against Boston, plus 113. 8 under at Tropicana Field. Taj Bradley will make his major league debut for the Rays as they play for their 12th straight win. Chris Sale on the mound for Boston. Spencer Strider on the hill for Atlanta, a $2.55 favorite at Truist Park against Hunter Green and the Reds, 8 flat. So sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Execution's 11 p.m., but he's trying to convince us he's gone insane.
Therefore, incapable of being executed.
On April 14th.
Edward?
I'm not an Edward. I'm a demon. If you think you know evil, think again. It's time we tell you what it is that we'd like you to do. Nefarious. Rated R. Under 17. Not admitted without a parent. In theaters April 14th.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
This is Tyler from Bear No Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere.
Save big time in the new year and get $1,200 off select new units.
Online at baranoac.com.
Keeping you comfortable is what Barry does best.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Discover the taste of Peru at Café de Martín and El Bar, a one-of-a-kind culinary and cocktail concept created by classically trained chef Martín Araujo. Con amor y pasión, with love and passion, Café de Martín is a fine Peruvian dining experience in an approachable, comfortable, cultural-rich space built for creating memories to last a lifetime. Enjoy happy hour daily with a full bar, handcrafted cocktails, beers on draft and bottle, paired with a selection of Peruvian tapas like crispy fried yuca with house-made huancaína sauce, carefully selected charcuterie boards, a selection of fresh ceviches, and so much more. It's Café de Martín and El Bar. Escape to Peru, a country of great culture, beauty, and food right here in the capital city. Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Online at cafedemartin.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
along here, but I actually don't think it means anything. It's just an indicator that the Big Ten has turned Jim Phillips down twice. So my thoughts on Jim Phillips' extension is that he didn't get the Big Ten job that he wanted for a second time, and so it is that he has to return to, as he would put it, a nice neighborhood. But, I don't think it's the one that he envisioned living in. He's kind of stuck in this neighborhood, and he's hoping that the neighborhoods that Tom described at the end of last hour, back there away from this nice neighborhood, but there's a nicer one over there, that one, he's hoping that they play nice, that they'll share some of the amenities. And Jim, it ain't going to happen. They're not sharing. They're not going to give you, on Wednesday, you get the Porsche. It's not going to work that way. It's theirs. They're driving it all 7 days.
Boy, this seems like an inside job. I know people don't go crazy for stuff like this, but I love the drama behind big time CEO level stuff. And Tony Petitti is the guy that the Big Ten hired. Has a lot of connections with CBS Sports, which just happens to be the future home of the Big Ten. What do you know? I think this was an inside job, and I'm sure Jim is lamenting that fact.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy when these very privileged folks lament inside jobs and extra easy tracks.
Knowing that's how they got to where they were.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
a lot of times, yeah.
It's especially delightful. I hate it for us because, if he was gone, it'd make this whole thing easier. Chaos would reign supreme in the ACC.
Maybe they just hire somebody else who values the same sorry neighborhood. I don't know.
Yeah. And they have retained a couple of outside counsels that have worked with, big ticket issues. So the ACC is gearing up, I think, and trying to intimidate for a legal fight. But I just found that so hilarious that it was somebody who has a huge and long history with CBS Sports, the new home for the Big Ten.
Yeah, not surprising. And I'll just say that, again, I don't think it changes anything about Florida State's efforts to find a path out of here. Now, again, it was always going to be difficult. It was always going to be laborious for those of us waiting for that sunny day in which we wake and find the good news that there is a way out, a light at the end of the tunnel. In this case, a dollar figure to aspire to. None of that's there right now. The light or the number or a sense of immediacy.
So Life Spectator asked in the chat, where does it say officially that Jim Phillips was turned down for the Big Ten job? You're not going to find that.
Oh no, that's my take.
When he announced his extension before this came down, that's all the tea leaves you need. What we were laughing about yesterday at practice, and I'm wondering who could be the one at the ACC kickoff this July.
Really quickly, I just want to put a ribbon on that. Live Spectator, just so you know, he desperately wanted it when he didn't get it. When Warren got it the first time, he's always wanted it. He begrudgingly took the ACC gig.
Right.
He thought he had the Big Ten gig, lost it due in his mind to politics. After he had done a successful job of getting the academic elite to buy into athletics at Northwestern. Sorry.
And fend off a union, which at the time was a big deal.
Yeah, all right. So back to you. Who at the ACC kickoff?
All right. Can straight-faced and feigning ignorance say, Jim, just curious about your new colleague at the commissioner level, and Tony Petitti. Do you know him, and what do you think he's going to do for the Big Ten? And then just see what happens.
College football, college athletics is a lot like a neighborhood, and for all neighborhoods to flourish.
I've known Tony and Tony's family for over 30 years, and he's a great man.
I remember meeting him at Notre Dame. And I just feel like, this sport, this program, this conference, all conferences, in order for everybody to flourish, it's a neighborhood that needs its trash taken out just like his. And so, you hope that they operate on time just like they do in the rich neighborhoods, and they show up bright and early like they do in those neighborhoods. Because for all of this to work, everybody's got to have their trash taken out.
Here's the conspiracy theory for you. He thought he was certainly going to get the Big Ten job, so he was trying to position the ACC to stay down with his messaging about, well, I just don't believe in big-time college athletics. I don't believe it to be what these two other entities are trying to make it to be.
Right.
Just so he could take the job in one of the big two entities and keep the competition at bay.
That is my favorite part. Is that
It's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the hat's all tinfoil.
Is that Colin? Do I see that right? He writes, I see Jeff wants Roddick at center. Is it that obvious? Would the ideal offensive line from left to right be Scott, Jones, Roddick, Emmanuel, Byers? I don't know about Emmanuel.
Et tu, Brute?
He asked the question. I'm specifically addressing a question that involves these names. He's fine. He's not, it's whatever.
He's a good player.
We've got better players. I just think that, you brought in some guys here that have a chance to be really good. It's going to be a good competition. That's really the point here. I don't know about Robert Scott either. I've said that for a while. Maybe he wins the job. Maybe he doesn't. I just like that he's going to be pushed. He doesn't just get to keep his job because he's returning.
You like the new and fresh faces. They're different than the old faces and the old.
The clay that we're working with those guys is a little bit different, don't you think? I mean, you look at their body type and their athleticism of that body type, and it's better than what we've had. Some of these guys have worked their way into a place where they've become effective, but I don't think the jumping off point's the same.
I agree with, say, Lucas Simmons and Julian Armella.
Yeah, they're two different looking dudes with more talent and better footwork and better upside.
I think it's too soon to say, because you want to be ready-made for LSU. So it's too soon to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't start Simmons, of course not.
Right. And I don't think Armella may earn his way. He could.
Armella might, buddy. Hardworking. He's got a really nasty disposition.
Oh, yeah.
He's also really athletic.
Yep. And he looks more like a grown-ass man
Yeah,
now.
he's going to get bigger because he's not going to not work.
Yeah. No, there's a path for him.
There's
no doubt. I'm just saying that left to right for LSU, I think the best answer is Scott, Byers at left guard. The winner of the center job, I still think it's going to be Maurice until further notice. And then it's going to be Emmanuel / Roddick and Bless. That would be my ideal five. Now, they're all cross-training, so it could be Byers at right guard or Bless at right guard. Who knows?
Yeah,
but that would be my five.
Yeah, I do think there's room for a few other names on that list. So the word ideal probably isn't applicable here, Colin. It's a fair guess as to what the five will look like. Doesn't mean, though, that I'm willing to write that in pen right now, because I agree. There's some other candidates there's still work to be done. The fall's going to be fun. It's going to continue this process of competing for the best five, and that's what you want. You just want these guys to go to war every day, and I want it one day we walk out of that practice going, well, it's for sure Roddick. The next day we go, nah, I don't know. Maybe it's Condre Jones, and then all of a sudden I like that. We haven't had that in a while. I wish we had it at more positions. I'll continue to reiterate that the way that I juxtapose what I think to be a reasonable expectation and where we want to be and what's expected of the season compared to the championship level aspirations, I look at this roster and I go over with a fine-tooth comb and I say we're not good enough at linebacker. We have real questions in the secondary, and I don't know who our two is at wide receiver that is going to make a difference. And I'm not saying there aren't candidates. I'm not saying there aren't guys that are going to continue to emerge.
Right.
But I want to see that.
That's it. That's an important distinction to make, though, because as we're poking holes in each other's theories about the offensive line, it's not the same level of concern as you would have with the other places you listed. Like, we're going to be fine with whoever the starting five is in terms of ability, aptitude.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. You have greater concerns about overall aptitude at different positions. Offensive line, we can just argue about which five are the best of a lot of good
That's
players.
a real cool competition and a fun thing to discuss. Just like I'm really pumped that we've really, I think, transformed the tight end room.
Yeah.
You've got three for sure that you're going to play. They're all going to play and play a lot and play well. Those three are Biscuit, Jaheim Bell, and Morlock. They're all going to play. And then, I don't know, maybe you get probably 40 whatever,
Preston Daniel?
Yeah, him. He'll probably play some too.
He has a name.
Yeah, but he'll play too. But other than that, I mean, listen, you got 3 good ones, so you're good to go. And then from there, I think they could go out. It is an interesting time though, because I talk about your roster getting plucked, some players. I mean, programs coming in and grabbing some players, and you need a few guys to go too. So it's not like you're not like, oh, okay, good, so and so left. I mean, there are going to be some guys that say they're leaving, and you're like, by all means. And they'll say it nicer than I say it on the air. That's fine. Then there'll be guys that you're fighting for that you don't want to leave. But it does free things up. And when that happens, it changes the conversation. Because if you lose a guy, regardless, if it's a guy that you're paying who you want to stay, that stinks, but you got to answer that. And that frees up money in theory. And so now maybe you don't go tit for tat. If you lose a corner or a safety or whatever, okay, let's say you lose, because there's a lot of musical chairs there. We don't know who's going to start there. We think we know, maybe a position or two there, but I mean, we'd like to think Fintrell Stripers is going to win a job. We think Bernardo Green would we probably win a job. You talk about a returning starter there. You think at safety, it's Shaheem Brown and Akeem Dent. We think. There hasn't been any great certainty evolving in this spring for us to say this is the group. So if let's say you lost a player from that group, whomever, it didn't matter. You don't necessarily, with the money freed up of a player leaving that group, have to spend it at that position, because you've got guys that are the same. So you'd say, okay, well, that frees that up. We do need a linebacker. Let's use it on that. So let's see how they choose to tackle the questions of filling the roster spots, because we're not that weak. There's only a few spots.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is if this window is April 16th to the end of the month, it was moved up from May 1 to May 15th. That's only part of the roster building. There's also kids that could graduate and complete their undergraduate career in May. And then you've got a new wave, because the portal windows don't apply to people who have completed their 4-year degree. They could enter at any time.
Anytime they want.
You see
ride the hell out.
The McClendon situation, right? So if you've got gaps, and let's say 6 players are gone by the end of the month. And again, that is a complete
it's fair
random number.
Yeah, spitball.
Maybe an educated guess, but maybe not. If that leaves you short of your Scully count, you don't have to fill it immediately. I'd almost wait and see if there's another guy or two that emerge and complete their senior years, and say, all right, in June, because it's player run practices from here on till fall camp. You don't have to race and fill something immediately. And they know that over there.
Could be there's always a guy that you don't expect to see in that portal where all of a sudden you're like, oh, so-and-so is available. He's really good. That guy he's plug and play.
Maybe the kid from NC State enters the portal.
Oh, buddy. Wouldn't that change our linebacking core?
32?
Yeah, he's a beast. Instincts for days, overcomes the height problem with toughness and vision, and he's a menace. Every time you look up, you're like, there's that SOB again.
There is no whisper about this kid entering the portal, but I just got your hopes up like Quentin Nelson was back on the draft board and the Bucks are picking.
Oh, don't ever do that, man. I still lament the day. We were right. We were so close. The problem with that, the countdown was on. And by the way, we've got to start. That's our next big thing. We got to start talking about the draft party.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
I know, but there we were. It was happening. It was all happening. Oh, it could happen. And then we looked at it, and I was like, the Colts are going to draft him. Yeah. The Colts are going to take him, and we're going to get screwed by one pick.
I felt bad, too. I knew it 6-7 seconds in advance, not because of social media, but because one of the other TVs was ahead, and it was quiet. It didn't have sound. But I watched the commissioner mouth the words Quentin Nelson.
And you knew I was all in from day one.
It felt like an eternity. The music I was hearing in my ear was so sad in my brain as I was looking at you. I'm like, yeah, he knows his dreams are about to be dashed, but he's going to be confirmed.
Yeah, it has been confirmed for you that his suspicions are accurate. It is over. I didn't know. You looked at this other television. I'm like, man, maybe they'll screw it up. It's the Colts. They could screw this up. Let's see what happens. Maybe our dream.
There could have been a photo or like one of those action live photos that they take, and they would have just seen me looking at you going, What a shame.
And I had to surrender Cobra or something. Yeah.
Before, like you had the hope in your eyes.
Oh, yeah. It's not going to happen, Jeff. He didn't make it. Did Quentin make it? He didn't make it.
It was like Trigger in U571. Trigger didn't make it.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers Pro Bowl inside linebacker and 2019 first-round draft pick Devin White has asked for his walk-in papers. And I think if I'm Tampa, I say have a good day. He served his purpose and was a rocket for the Bucs when we needed him to be. A difference maker on a Super Bowl winning team that had a year he'll never repeat and has only declined since. And I like him. That's fine. But all right, buddy, take it on down the road.
Maybe slightly overrated in the scouting circles, so you might be able to get a little extra for him.
Yeah.
Or he finds a real linebacking coach or some kind of development, and he's able to close on the 12 sacks he misses a year.
He's got all the tools, and he's a fun player, and I got nothing negative really to say about him. I think he did what he was supposed to do. We had the 1 year. He was a Pro Bowler in 2021. He helped win the Super Bowl to the Bucs and for the Bucs, and was a huge part of the win against New Orleans, and did all kinds of things where he was just
right place, right time, and Lambeau scoop up.
Oh yeah, no, he was fantastic. And 4 great years. He's a bat out of hell. He's a fun player. He's awesome on anytime they mic him up. He's hilarious. A team would benefit to have him. He's just not. I feel like he's a shooting star, man. I feel like we got him. That little window was awesome. He was great, and I don't think he can get better because he's not going to continue to get better in coverage. Like he had the 1 year when we needed him.
He was okay.
He was pretty good, because they told him to focus on it, and he got good at it. In addition to being, there isn't. I will say this: if you're going to say, Jeff, what's the one thing that guy does better than almost any other linebacker in football? Well, that's your ass if you're in the flats.
Correct.
That is your ass. He's off your television screen, and then wow, he's on your television screen, and somebody's getting slung 5 rows deep.
But if you're a quarterback in the pocket and it's 100 degrees at Raymond James Stadium September, which it always is, and you need a breeze, just kind of take one half step to the left,
and he's gone.
You will get that breeze.
But don't throw it in the flats.
No.
Unless
you hate your running back,
yeah,
you want to teach him a lesson.
It's funny because the running backs, when they play the Bucs, know that he's coming. So you'll see, like, when they catch those balls out of the flats, that 45s, they know 45's coming. It's like they watch the ball in their hands, their head gets around so fast because you're about to get ear-holed. I'll give him that. That should be how you write it up. Like, if you're teaching linebackers, I want you to watch this guy right here. This is insane what he's about to do to this poor bastard. It's the kid from Georgia that in the national championship game 2 years ago that goes from one side of the field to the other and hawks out your boy on the wheel route. The linebacker.
Was it Nakobe Dean?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is insane. That reminded me of White, where I was like, oh, that's that kind of insane 250 pounds running 4.4 athleticism that nobody should have. That's the difference. Like, now when you're a kid and you're playing baseball, the first time you ever see a real curveball, like a real curveball, a 12-6, and you're like, oh, I can't hit that. I was flinching. That was down the middle, and I turned my back to it. That's a difference maker. You're like, well,
yes,
that's the end of my baseball.
Cranial confusion.
Yeah. I can't hang in there on that. It started at my neck. It broke across the other side of the plate at my knees, and I was looking at the dugout. So this is the problem. That is the same thing. Like, if you play football and you're a linebacker, and then you watch those guys get to the flats at 250 pounds, you're like, okay, well, I don't have that. I don't have that. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Car accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Widden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at widdenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
To start the year. Stockpile while you can. Buccos trail 5-0 day baseball. Did get the walk-off last night over Houston. Got a lot of day baseball games underway. 2-2 Padres Mets.
Rubber game?
Yeah. White Sox Twins, 1-0 Twins. and they're underway between Chicago, that'd be the Cubs, and Seattle, 0-0. That was a wild game last night. Runs galore. You also have the Yankees and Cleveland. It's 3-2 Cleveland. I bring this up because we've been. Oh, you scared me. I was like, what's good to myself?
Just because you're talking baseball. I don't know. I figured I'd throw a little music underneath.
We're going to do it at the end with probables. I was like, what? Am I being sent to break already? What did I do? No, I've been having fun monitoring where baseball's at. We talk about the where the game's at, the runs and the different stuff that early on we're like, wow, is this sustainable? Is it? Some things are starting to kind of revert back. There aren't. So in the beginning, you had a crazy clip, where you had guys stealing bases at an untenable rate. It's still going to be a correction. They wanted more people moving. They wanted more balls put in play. There are going to be more runs scored this year. That is going to happen. But the numbers aren't as crazy as they were. One thing that is awesome still, over and over and over again, is I think what they now throughout baseball are chiming in as, and baseball should do this, and I know this is their effort. I just got done listening to Theo Epstein talk about this, and that is that, like, they got to do a better job of promoting their stars and getting those guys out in front of the nation. And now they have Shohei Ohtani night. Anytime he pitches, it's Shohei Ohtani night. And it needs to be on all platforms. Like, get that out there. Let's watch him. Because he's crazy. Every time he'll throw the fastest ball. And in addition, have the hardest hit ball in the same game. He's done it 3 times this year. That's just cool. Corey Clark and I were talking yesterday at practice.
I think it was during the special teams drills.
Well, Jesus, you got a lot of time to talk about anything you want to talk about during those special teams drills, I tell you. Take your time. We'll be here a while. And he was making the argument that this snapshot of Shohei Ohtani, now he's got to have a career. He's got to go on to have a long career for this to work, the same way that Willie Mays did or Babe Ruth did or Joe DiMaggio did or whatever, but we talk about the all-time grades. But, you may be looking at right now this little window, the greatest player in baseball history. That's nuts to think about.
I never thought I'd see Little League meets Major Leagues, ever.
Yeah.
Other than on a console in which I just decided to break the game and give somebody 99 overall everything and just have fun. And I did more of that when I was playing MVP baseball 20 years ago.
Back in the day, yeah. So over the weekend, now today's Wednesday, and I haven't updated this, and there are a couple different places you can go to find these, but they're fun little snapshots, speaking of which, to get a sense of where the new rules and what kind of stats, new rules, stats, things to think about where we're at in baseball and how it's affecting the game. And at that time, Tom, there had been 100 and there's more than that now, obviously. Again, this was over the weekend. There had been 126 games. So and I'll refresh this, but at 126 games, there had been 112 violations. That's 0.89 violations per game of the new rules, right? So that is a lot lower. That's well under what baseball was expecting. They were expecting way more violations.
Yeah.
Than what they're getting, because people adapted, because they had it in spring training, and at first everybody bitched about it, and now they've adapted.
Well, and they're also the pros. That's the other thing, is minor leaguers were, failing at a 1.1 clip or a 1.2 per game clip.
Mm-hmm.
But these are pros, the best. You have the best umpires and you have the best players.
Yeah.
And they're going to adapt to anything faster than any minor leaguer could possibly do.
So as expected, the number one violation are pitch timer violations, right?
They don't get the ball fast.
They don't get the ball fast enough. Did you, when you watch games in which the clock is visible, does it make you anxious when they're at 3, 2, 1?
Well, they just have to start the motion.
That's correct. And also, umps have been reasonable with this.
Yeah. Yes, they have been. They're also reasonable with foul balls and restarting the clock.
Right.
They're reasonable with, I don't know, a situation where a catcher,
it
there's
takes
a
one
foul
off the
tip and
thigh or something. Yeah.
Thigh. And I think the umpires have been reasonable too in later innings between batters. I can't prove that, but it feels like they'll give the extra 5 seconds where it's necessary.
Well, I noticed something like have common sense about you. It's first and second. It's 2-2 in the 7th with 1 out, and we've got a 3-2 count forthcoming. It's a big pitch. He may have been a second late. I'm not violating him here. We're gonna, they're doing a good job with that.
Or they may start the clock a tick later, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there have been 77 pitch timer violations. There's more than that now. Again, this was over the weekend. Total up till this past weekend. 29 pitch time violations by batters. Only 29. Hitters have gotten the message. Get your ass and keep your ass in that box. That's it. 2 batter timeout violations, which
they asked for timeout a second time.
A second time.
All right. Yeah.
Only 2. That makes sense. 1 pitcher disengagement violation. Only 1. And there have been 0 shift violations. Nobody has shifted too far. The other side is second, for example. It hasn't happened. Nobody's illegally shifted, not even one time this year. I read a piece. Now, this is fascinating, and I wouldn't be surprised if it were true, by Joe Poznansky, who said that he believes the reason that there have been 0 shift violations is that players didn't like the shift. Defensive players didn't like the shift. Pitchers didn't like the shift, even though it got them more outs. They didn't like it.
Well, pitchers want to be able to throw to whatever half of the plate they want to throw to. They don't want to have to pitch you inside if it's righty-lefty because you've got the shift on. That's a larger home run probability. If I want to pitch away a little bit, I'm going to pitch away.
His argument was that for position players, they grew up playing a specific position. So you grew up playing shortstop, you grew up playing third base, you grew up playing second base. And they resent having to move to some new spot because analytics told them to do that. And even if they knew the analytics were right, so they couldn't complain about it, they didn't like it. Like if you grew up idolizing Derek Jeter and you wanted to play shortstop and you're on the wrong side of second like an ass every other batter, you're like, this is nonsense.
Would have been great for Jeter with his arm. And if you are playing at the major league level, chances are you're a better shortstop than Derek Jeter was defensively.
I like it.
Lindor said that and again, just because it's my team, so I read the clippings. He's like, I'd like to be able to play defense. I want to be able to play the game. And I feel like I can't play the game when I have to do all this other stuff.
The other side of that was pitchers, even though they understood the shift was getting them more outs, were asking the question, what kind of outs? So they'd give up like a rocket to a left-hander, right? And some fielder in short right center would make a catch, standing in the right spot, positioned in the right spot because the graphs told him that's where he had to go. But they didn't feel like they got their job done. They got lucky. That's nonsense. Like they gave up, that ball was squared up. And then every now and again, a guy would chop the ball to the left side where normally it would be an easy out, and it would just, because the shift was on, some nonsense got through. They're like, no, that was a good pitch. I completely fooled his ass. And because we're in this, he's, so there was enough resentment there. That was a theory Joe Poznansky brought up that I read over the weekend. And I kind of liked it. I think I'm more on the side of position players saying, no, man, I'm a third baseman. I grew up idolizing whomever, right?
Yeah. Ken Caminiti.
Bill Madlock.
Scott Rowland, Hall of Famer.
George Brett. Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt.
Scott Rowland.
Mm-hmm. David Wright.
I wouldn't include him in the list, but yeah, go ahead.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Have you noticed
Aramis Ramirez
in your own mind as you're watching? So Keith Hernandez hated that man with a passion.
Ramirez?
Anytime he did anything that was even questionable, well, that's Eris Ramirez for you. We see him 5 times a year. What did he do to your family, Keith Hernandez?
Yeah. Did he have like a 3-dong day against the Mets? What happened? I mean, goodness
he
gracious.
doesn't even care. It's like what gets him out of the ballpark quicker, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He loves these rule changes.
Maybe he hated the long at bats that Aramis Ramirez put together. Like, here's this son of a bitch again. We're on pitch number 12. I got drinks to drink.
Maybe he called timeout too much. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
But in the latter innings, setup man, closer, whatever, I still feel like those situations breathe enough. I feel the heightened whatever, emotions, anxiety between each pitch the way I used to. In my brain, it feels exactly the same, even though there's a clock there.
Yeah,
I don't know if you feel that way or not. But
So far, I've only had 2 instances where I thought things were moving a little too briskly. The average time of games is 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Love it.
A half an hour faster than games at this point last year. That is the intended consequence. They got it right. That's what they wanted. Batting average is up 17 points. It's 251 now compared to 234 through the same number of games last year.
That's a lot. But that could be a lot of luck.
It's just not enough sample size yet. Runs per game is at 9.3. I think that's where baseball wants it. That's up just less than a 1-run difference from a year ago. Now, it's been pointed out hitters got off to a terrible start in 2022 because of the lockout and delay of opening day. So it's hard to compare these numbers because in 2022 they came into camp. They all look terrible. I mean, hitters were awful to start 2022. So we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens there. Stolen bases are up 1.3 stolen bases per game versus 0.9 last year at this point. Not that much. It's not crazy. It's not fundamentally altering the game where you're like, what's going on here? It's 1984. That's not happening. 1.3, 1.3 to 0.9.
No, it's significant, but it's not game changing. Yeah.
Now the success rate is high. It's gone from just over 74% to 80%. But 80 is down from where it was that first.
It was that Hall of Fame level.
Yeah. I just feel like we're in a good spot, man. Baseball's kind of gotten exactly what they wanted out of the changes. There's more balls put in play. Batting average is higher because of it. Runs are up, but it's not dumb. You're not watching 10-9 every night. People aren't violating these new rules at an excessive rate. Again, 0.89, less than 1 a game.
Well, and the bottom line is you're going to need softball locally and Major League Baseball to help you. Because the college baseball thing ain't going to work. It's not going to work for entertainment value unless
if you like Florida State, it ain't going to work.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Also, that looks a hell of a lot slower now with what Major League is doing. Oh man, we're in the 6th, huh?
Well, our team can't throw strikes, so there's a whole lot of nonsense.
Right. MLB at bat app. That's it. That's the ticket. With that, and softball, we're good.
Yeah, I can't wait. We can't wait for next football season. I can't wait for next baseball season when he guts this roster and we see a different looking team. But it is. I hate it for him. I could see the look on his face, man. I'm just purely talking about the humanity of it. Did you see his interview up against the brick wall last night?
That's apropos.
They caught him for like 2.5 minutes before he got on the bus to come back to Tallahassee. The look on his face is this beleaguered, beaten, saddened, downtrodden, crestfallen
gentleman,
bereft of hope, skipper at his wit's end. It's brutal. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Around 8:10 a.m. at Rickards High Tuesday morning, staff members detected the smell of marijuana on a 17-year-old student who arrived late on campus. Rickards security staff immediately began an investigation, which included an administrative search of the student. The search resulted in a loaded Glock 43X handgun being found in the student's backpack, which TPD has later found it to be reported stolen. The student was immediately arrested, transported to the Juvenile Assessment Center without incident, and charged with possession of a firearm on school property. The Leon County School Board unanimously passed a proposal Tuesday night that will require parents to be notified within 24 hours of the district learning of an employee's arrest. The item was already on the school board agenda for this meeting, but it comes after a 23-year-old Griffin Middle School teacher, Angel Footman, was charged and fired March 24th for allegedly allowing 6th grade female students to fight in her classroom. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy this afternoon with a chance for scattered showers. Daytime highs approaching 79. Easterly winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows level off around 63. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 78. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 76.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Set up more and more as people are figuring out their plans for this weekend. Warchant Spring Game Day, I can speak, has you covered this Saturday. We'll be live from atop Hotel Indigo from 1 to 3 p.m. Come join us for cold drinks, fresh food, drinks. All right. Fresh food and the best view of Doak Campbell Stadium.
Excuse me, sir.
VIP pass.
Do you have VIP pass?
Oh, man, I missed that. I wish I could have been filming in that moment.
Super Saver. VIP pass.
Drinks. 10 to 15 minutes after the game, join Tom and Gene as well for the post-game call-in show. Warchant Spring Game Day 2023 is brought to you by Bud Light Sangria Splash. Tasty. Tasty. Tom is happy. You are a fan of sangria.
It has been a minute since I've gotten some sangria from Gordo's, but once upon a time, Eddie called me the Sangria Gorilla. It's delightful.
He did, and I was there one day with special edition.
Now, that is easily explained. It is. That is easily explained.
Let me finish the bit.
Yeah.
Bud Light Seltzer, 100% hard seltzer, 0% beer. Enjoy the bold flavor of Sangria Splash made with real juice, which is extra refreshing for those really hot days hanging out at the stadium. Bud Light Sangria Splash, drink responsibly. Yeah. So go ahead.
All right.
I want to hear the rationalization.
No, the truth, and I will share the truth. There is
one man's truth.
Here we go. Alternate facts, Jeff. It is wine and a little bit of something, right, for sangria. That was the typical recipe. This other particular worker, who I'm sure has long since left the establishment,
she did
wonderfully nice,
awesome girl,
awesome, legit. But she created her own recipe for sangria,
and it was a doozy.
And there was no wine really involved at all.
Well, there was some, but
a splash, kind of like
from my good guy, Artie. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
a little splash.
It's a little splash.
It was all
a little bit of color.
It was all liquor, and it tasted close enough to the same, which that's impressive. It's very impressive.
It was delicious.
Essentially, I was drinking Long Island's with no ice.
Repeatedly.
I could have 2 or 3 sangrias in a couple hours, no big deal. Not this particular concoction, though, as it was completely liquor. And I did not know.
You got lucky because on this famed day, yours truly walked in.
Yeah.
And there you were in all your glory. And I thought, good thing I'm here. And it was all right. We arranged a ride. You were all good. You had been overserved. It was not your fault.
And not her. Honest mistake all around.
Well,
honest mistake.
I think she was having fun with it.
Really?
Well, I mean, she wasn't trying to like drug you, but I think it was sort of just she thought it was funny. Like, hey, this is a Mac Daddy of sangria.
Is that real?
Well, here's what's real. Like, I think if you're a regular or they know you or they like you or whatever, they always want to do the right thing by you when you order a drink. So I think that, it's like when you're in college and you know the bartender.
This was not that. This was, you give somebody a little extra 1 tick or 2 ticks on a pour, and you're like, hey, I see you working.
There you go. You didn't cheat me.
Boy,
you didn't cheat me.
This must be a Phillips screwdriver, not a flathead screwdriver. Way to go. But if it's all liquor instead of, mostly wine, that will affect things. Yeah.
I don't like sangria, so it didn't make a difference to me. I never even knew the difference at all when you were saying, like, oh, these are good. These are delicious. They're a little different.
Yeah.
Because it was unbeknownst to you.
Sangria and Lightning playoff hockey at the time.
That was your thing.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I never fell victim to that. My famed story is I didn't realize early on Oyster City, which we enjoy.
They're great friends.
Yeah. They make a beer that's like a 10 and
you thought it was a 3.
I thought it was a 3. They just went down so smoothly. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh. They're like, what are you doing, Jeff? The Hooter Brown is...
It's to be respected.
You sip it. You take your time.
Why are you treating that Hooter Brown like it's a Busch Light?
So that's how that went. All right, our friends at Power Mill, I want to thank them for sponsoring Probables and want to remind you that if you're trying to get the most out of your young man or young lady's performance on the diamond, you're going to want to go and get proper training. And Power Mill training equips you and motivates your players that are focused on baseball and softball and gives them the tools to reach their potential. That's what you want to do. It doesn't matter if you're going on to be one of the 2,000 plus alumni that they have that have gone on to play big-time baseball, gone on to play high school, college, some pros. They've got a combined 45 years of experience. They've got camps coming up a time right now where we get into summer camps and you're trying to plan that out. And you got some young little leaguers or young softball players. Think about Power Mill's camps as well. They do a great job in training and equipping athletes of all ages and skills. We thank our friends at Power Mill. If you want to know more, powermillsports.com. And if you would, Tom, cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Looks like another quality Rich Hill start in Pittsburgh. Guy's 105 years old. When he roll his ass out there, he gets tattooed, as you figure. Down 5-0 in the 7th.
For Mountain.
Jose Urquidy started for the Astros. He didn't give up a run. In the 6th, it's 3-2 Mets. Blake Snell, Tyler McGill. White Sox down 1-0 to Minnesota. That game was started by Sonny Gray and Lucas Giolito. We got Yankees Guardians in the 5th. And it's 3-2 Cleveland. Good. Come on, Guardians. That's Peyton Battenfeld. Okay, we got a new club member.
What?
We're stuck with Peyton Battenfield. Oh, God. Clark Schmidt started for the Yankees. Mariners, Cubs, Logan Gilbert, Marcus Stroman. Cardinals, Rockies, Jack Flaherty. Only Flaherty. Jose Urena. Brewers, D-backs. Jansen Junk. Forgot about him. Dre Jameson. Marlins, Phillies, Edward Cabrera. Hey, that was the Marlins' first ever cycle last night in franchise history.
Whoa.
Crazy. Those are also 4 beautiful swings. Zach Wheeler starting for the Phils. We got Nationals, Angels, Mackenzie Gore, Griffin Canning.
Oh, man.
Put him with your boy.
So Peyton Battenfeld could be the guy to ask, what kind of ball are you playing today in the tournament? And then he'd ask to see it and inspect it. That's who Peyton Battenfeld.
And then he'd go sit next to Griffin Canning. A's, Orioles.
Hi, Griffin. Hi, Peyton.
Ken Waldachuk, Dean Creamer, hey, Red Sox Rays, Chris Sale, Taj Bradley. We got the Tigers and the Blue Jays, Eduardo Rodriguez, Kevin Gosman. Reds, Braves, Hunter Green, Spencer Strider, Royals, Rangers, Brad Keller, Nathan Eovaldi, and finally Dodgers, Giants, Clayton Kershaw, Alex Cobb. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. The pug looking back is still great.
It always reminds me of a fellow compatriot of ours at the old North Side Goros. Cubs fan.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of look he would give.
That is the
if
kind of
somebody
look
said
he'd give.
something strange.
Yeah, that he didn't agree with or thought was great. Yeah, that's perfect.
What are you talking about?
I missed the crew. I missed the.
It was a good crew.
It was a good crew. One of them still doing well.
That's how that crew's doing.
Yeah. You know, what are you going to do? Time. Brutal. One of those guys is allegedly alive, and I have no idea what he's doing. Nobody's seen him in years. And then the other one, not doing well. So that's where we're at. Sorry to bring you down, Tom. That's where we're at. Good work out of you.
Recruiting chat, 6 p.m. tonight, Warchant TV, recruiting chat.
There it is. Good job, Matthew. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.